So Jaypal, please read the definition of pure devotional service.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji. The authorized descriptions, one second. The authorized descriptions of bhakti or devotional service, following in the footsteps of previous acharyas, can be summarized in the following statement by Sri Rupa Goswami. By Srila Rupa Goswami. First class devotional service is known by one's tendency to be fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, serving the Lord favorably. The purport is that one may also be in Krishna consciousness unfavorably, but that cannot be counted as a pure devotional service. Pure devotional service should be free from the desires of any material benefit or for sense gratification, as these desires are cultivated through fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. Generally, people are engaged in different activities to get some little profit, while most philosophers are engaged in proposing transcendental realization through volumes of word jugglery and speculation. Pure devotional service must always be free from such fruitive activities and philosophical speculations. One has to learn Krishna consciousness or pure devotional service from the authorities by spontaneous loving service.
Yeah, so what did you understand from this?
I mean, the first class, I mean, here they're defining who is the first class devotee and what is the first class devotional service. I mean, if you are fully engaged engaged in the service of the Lord without any benefit or any expectations, without any favor, that is counted as a pure devotional service. But in devotional service, there are also people who do the service for the benefit of something, like maybe some do service to get the name and fame, some do service for the position and things like that. So that's not counted as a devotional service.
Yeah, so that is what we see, right? Most of the
Right.
people are doing it for name, fame, or for position. So,
Right.
like during Prabhupada's time, people left everything, colleges, schools, they joined the temple without any salary and they would just work. So now even devotees demand something, right? I want salary, I want facilities, I want this, I want that. Like, so it has changed, which is better than not being a devotee, but that doesn't count as pure devotional service. It counts as devotional service.
Correct.
So unless we come to pure devotional service, we are not going to go. By which stretch, many of the people, devotees, will not make it this lifetime. It's very evident, actually. It's very evident that you will not make it this lifetime. Here Prabhupada said, yes, you can go back to Godhead in one lifetime, provided it has to be pure devotional service. If it is not, it will take more lifetimes. So that is our dilemma, right? So basically right now we are doing it either for position or either for some people are doing it for some monetary benefit. Some people are doing it for name and fame. Yes, I am so and so, I'm secretary in the temple, I am this in the temple. So doesn't count. I mean, it is still better than not being a devotee. Not being a devotee, you don't get any benefit, zero benefit. Here you'll get partial benefit, but it is not considered pure. So that's why when I look at myself and I say, okay, what am I doing? Yeah, I'm doing some devotional service, but it's not pure. Which means it's not possible to go back in this lifetime. It has to be pure devotional service. Otherwise, it doesn't simply count. And that is the challenge. Most people will have this challenge. And there is not a whole lot you can do about it. The pure devotional service means it's in a different platform altogether. Platform. Yeah, somebody had a question?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Acting for Krishna. Okay. So Anisha, please read this, acting for Krishna.
This devotional service is a sort of cultivation. It is not simply inaction for people who like to be inactive or devote their time to silent meditation. There are many different methods for people who want this, but cultivation of Krishna consciousness is different. The particular word used by Srila Rupa Goswami in this connection is anusilana, or cultivation by following the predecessor teachers, acharyas. As soon as we say cultivation, we must refer to activity. Without activity, consciousness alone cannot help us. All activities may be divided into two classes. One class may be for achieving a certain goal, and the other may be for avoiding some unfavorable circumstance. In Sanskrit, these activities are called pravritti and nivritti, positive and negative action. There are many examples of negative action. For instance, a deceased person has to be cautious and take medicine in order to avoid making his illness worse. Those who are cultivating spiritual life and executing devotional service are always engaged in activity. Such activity can be performed with the body or with the mind. Thinking, feeling, and willing are all activities of the mind, and when we will to do something, the activity comes to be manifest by the gross bodily senses. Thus, in our mental activities, we should always try to think of Krishna and try to plan how to please him, following in the footsteps of the great acharyas and personal spiritual master. There are activities of the body. There are activities of the body, activities of the mind, and activities of the speech. A Krishna conscious person engages his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called kirtan. In his mind, a Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord. As he is speaking on the battlefield of Kurukshetra or engaging his various pastimes in Vrindavan with his devotees, in this way, one can always think of the activities and pastimes of the Lord. This is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness.
So what is the mental culture of Krishna consciousness?
Well, it's like in 1 second.
A Krishna conscious person
It's like thinking,
always thinks of the activities of the Lord.
yeah. So a mental culture of Krishna consciousness is thinking of the Lord or thinking of the activities of the Lord.
And what is Kirtana?
It's like, it says preaching the glories of the Lord, so like singing and dancing and chanting.
Very good. But more importantly,
Yep, preaching the glories of the Lord. Yep.
yes, preaching the glories of the Lord. So you should all become preachers. Initially, you are students, and later you become preachers. By the way, Disha Mataji, I have your Japamala with me, so you should come and claim it.
Yay! Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
I got the bag also today.
Yeah, so you got the bag. Oh, when you got the bag, you could have just come my home. I'm right behind the temple.
Tomorrow, Prabhu.
Okay, yeah, no worries. Whatever time. So a Krishna conscious person engages his word in preaching the glories of the Lord. So that's why I'm doing this class, right? I'm preaching the glories of the Lord to you. And then you should also do the same, preach the glories of the Lord. Without preaching, it is not called Kirtana. So you have to preach. Of course, Sankirtana means going on the streets and singing for the Lord. That is the next step. But at least you should do it in the comfort of your own building. Preach to other people, just like Jaipal calls some people to his home and does program. So we were thinking of starting something at your home, Disha Mataji. So you have not given me a timeline yet.
Sorry, Prabhu.
We were talking about preaching or doing classes from your home, remember?
Yes, Prabhu.
So we should start that at
Prabhu
some
will,
point.
sure, Prabhu. We will discuss that. We will plan that.
Yeah, we should do that.
In,
Otherwise, time is just flying, and we are growing old, and one day we'll be too old to not do anything. So we should do while we still have some energy left, right? I mean,
Okay.
the
You
grand
want-
vision is
Prabhu,
grand vision is starting a temple, but before you start a temple, at least you start something from your own home in a small way.
yes, Prabhu. Q1 2022.
What is that?
Q1 2022.
Oh, Q1. Okay, good. So that's a tangible plan. We should always have a target, right? And when
Yes,
we can
Prabhu.
do these things. Same with you, Seshadev. You have to start your home-based program. Call 3 or 4 people, and you should preach to other people.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yeah, you're not that young anymore. So now start.
I'll join for Prasadam, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Sheshadev will cook nicely, and then he'll give a class, and we'll all go there.
Yes.
Actually, you know what?
I'll be the
Initially,
student, Prabhuji.
yeah, in like 2006, 2007, 2006 to 2008, like that, we used to do this class in rotation. So one day it would be at my home, one day it would be at one student's home, one day it would be at the second student's home. So we would always go to different people's homes and do programs. Right? Whatever class we are doing, it never used to be, of course, now it is online, but previously it used to be like different homes. And then, so the host will, oh, all the devotees are coming, now I have to cook. So they have that little bit of positive anxiety in service to Krishna. So cooking, then we would all offer saying the mantras to Krishna, then we would say the prayers for prasadam, and then we would have prasadam. That's how our generation, we became strong in Krishna consciousness. It's not just about classes, right? So we have to participate in the entire event. So cooking for Krishna, offering, serving the devotees for Krishna, then saying the prasadam prayers. So it was like a complete package. So right now you're just hearing a class and then clicking the end in your Zoom call and then going to sleep, right? Or whatever. So that's not the complete package. So we need to come to that complete package, which will have more positive impact on our lives, which we'll do. I mean, once Corona settles down a little bit, we will definitely do that. So we'll start Q1 2022 in Disha Mataji's home, a batch, a Bhagavad Gita batch with her friends and relatives. Then Sheshdev, you are an initiated devotee, so you can start on your own. You don't need any specific guidance. So you should start and at least start with 1 or 2 families and slowly it will grow. Right? It will not stop. It will keep growing. Are you ready, Sheshdev?
Not sure, Prabhuji.
What do you mean
I
not
can-
sure?
I can-
Not sure. What do you mean not sure? What did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Yare deke tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. Whoever you see, you talk about Krishna. But in America, if you just start talking in the library and in your office, people will not like it. So you call them home and then you talk about Krishna.
Yeah.
Right? So, Yare deke tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. The instruction is very, very clear. Right? That is the basic. It's like drinking water and breathing oxygen. You have to talk about Krishna. Otherwise, your initiation will not hold much meaning. Right? You are initiated, means you have come into this movement and you have to do something about it. Right? If you don't preach, then it is not Krishna consciousness. It becomes a classic Hinduism. What is the difference between classic Hinduism and Krishna consciousness, Anisha?
I don't know, Prabhu.
Okay, you can try. Give me an answer that you think is right. Okay, Jaipal, what is it?
Prabhu, Prabhu,
Yeah,
for her
Priya
defense,
Mataji,
she
go
has.
ahead.
No, you.
What was the question, Prabhu?
Anisha, what was the question?
It was what's the difference between classic Hinduism and Krishna
Classic what?
like Hinduism and Christian
Classic Hinduism and Krishna
Krishna
consciousness.
consciousness. Krishna consciousness is like for all religions, all type of people. But classic Hinduism is only they believe the Hindus. What they believe is only other Hindus. So many gods.
That is partially right. That's partially right. Everybody start your cameras. Please start
They
your
believe in
cameras.
all. Yeah, they believe in all deities, but we people, Krishna, we believe only in Krishna.
No, that is not the difference. I mean, that is partially the difference, but that's not the main difference. What is the main difference?
Spreading the word, the necessity.
Yeah, that is one
Spreading
of
the
the main
word and spreading
differences.
the name.
As a Hindu, what do? You just have your little altar. You will do your little thing. You will not even talk to the neighbor about it.
Yes.
So in Krishna consciousness, you are actually preaching the glories of Krishna. Right?
Yes.
I mean, we all came from Hindu families, but then do you see the difference? We are talking about preaching the glories of Krishna. Otherwise, you don't need to do any of these things. You don't need to learn Bhagavad Gita even. You just go, put agarbatti in front of the Lord every day and say, okay, Kadam, that's it, enough. But we are not classic. We are not trying to be classic Hindus. We are trying to be dear to Krishna, which means we are preaching the glories. That's what it said, right? Remember, I showed you the screen. What did it say? Preaching the glories. Preaching the glories of the Lord. That is Kirtana. Of course, these other things come later. Krishna conscious person always thinks of the activities of the Lord. Oh, that he is in the battlefield, he is with the gopis, he is in Mathura, he is in Dwarka. That is secondary. But first thing is you have to preach the glories of the Lord. Right? We all knew about Krishna even when we were Hindus. Then what happened? What is the difference? This is the difference.
Yes.
So, Sheshadev, if you don't preach, then you are a classic Hindu. What's the difference? Why even bother, right? Why even bother coming to Krishna consciousness? Start your camera, Sheshdev. I want to see your lotus face. Okay, there he is. Lotus-like face. So, are you happy with being a classic Hindu?
No, Prabhuji.
No, we are not, right? We had that inner thirst for do something, and that's why we came here. A lot of people don't have that thirst and they don't come. So what we should do is we have to preach to the extent of your capacity. So there was this small girl, during Prabhupada's time. I think she was Yamuna Mataji's daughter, somebody's daughter. Right? So she went to, there were a lot of people in the audience. Prabhupada was giving a lecture. There were a lot of people in the audience. And this small girl went to one visitor and tapped on the visitor's shoulder and said, do you know Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That's all she said. She didn't say anything else. She didn't know about anything else. And Prabhupada said, look, she is a preacher. So you preach according to your capacity. I mean, You cannot preach like some bada sannyasi, you don't have that capacity. But you preach according to your capacity, your capability. But if you don't preach, then you're not progressing. You're actually stagnating. You're even going back actually, right? Because if you're swimming upstream, you know what swimming upstream means? The water is coming from the mountain and you are trying to swim towards the mountain. That is called swimming upstream. So when you are swimming upstream, if you stop swimming, what will happen?
You will go backwards.
You will go back. That's what's happening to us because we are not preaching. We know the philosophy, but when we don't preach, we will go back. The philosophy is not all that complex, actually, right? Work for Krishna, think of Krishna, but then why are we not moving forward? Because we are not preaching effectively. Right? What did Prabhupada say in Bhakti Art of Love? One moment. Okay, any thoughts and comments? So what does preaching really mean? Does anybody have some thoughts? If you just say, oh, Krishna is Supreme Personality, will people listen? Priya Mataji, will people listen?
Prabhu, I have a question. Why do people go backwards in Krishna consciousness and not in other temples when they preach other deities or gods?
Yeah.
Is it Krishna preaching or Krishna consciousness is
So
too
what happens
hard
is
to move forward, or is it
Maya is so powerful that she is actually pushing you backwards. Get the point? What is Maya's function? To test you. So she's always pushing backwards and you should always move forward. That's the difference. Right? I'll tell you, you stop attending these classes for 2 months. Then you will not have any interest to learn Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
Once you give a break, permanent break.
Right.
Right? What's happening? Maya is testing you. Are you really interested in Krishna? Maya is Krishna's internal energy. Right? So are you really interested? Then if you show a little bit of weakness, she'll say, okay, get out. She'll push you back. So it's very, very difficult. So somebody went to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I think I'm sometimes in Maya. Can you guess what Prabhupada's answer was? Jayapal, you know this answer. Tell me, what is that?
Slowly. You're always in Maya, only sometimes
Yes.
you're in Bhakti.
That is the point. You're always in Maya. Only sometimes you are with Krishna. Like, for this duration of this 45 minutes, we are with Krishna. Because we are talking about him. But most of the time we are in Maya. So if you take this 1 hour or 2 hours away, then practically you are in Maya. So that's the point. Maya means what? When you're away from Krishna, that's it. Only one definition of Maya. You're away from Krishna. So you have to invent ways to be with Krishna. Right? Like Harulas Maharaj is always inventing new ways to be with Krishna. This festival, that festival, always he's coming up with new excuses to glorify Krishna. For example, if you look at flower festival that we did in the farm, and if you look at Vaishnava calendar, there is no flower festival listed there. So why do you think he's doing it? At least for those 2-3 hours, people will talk of Krishna. So he's pulling them out. Otherwise, they'll go to the mall, right? Or they'll go skiing, or they'll do something else. So finding excuses to bring people to talk about Krishna. That's it. Right? So any thoughts on that one? So again, I'm not saying this.
Who
Srila Prabhupada is
has
saying this. What is he saying? A Krishna conscious person engages his words in preaching the glories of the Lord. This is called Kirtana. So if you want to be Krishna conscious, you have to preach. Otherwise, you'll just be a Hindu, go to temple, put $5 in Hundi, ring a bell, go home and watch TV and go to sleep. So that's not very appealing. At least it's not for me. Right? Okay, whoever was reading, continue.
Prabhu, you have a question? Yeah. There's a question, Prabhu.
Yeah, go ahead.
Prabhu, I have known some people who have taken Diksha also and Shiksha Guru, both from ISKCON, and after this, sometime they have gone backward, which is very wrong, right?
That is very wrong, and that is not some people. A lot of people do that. One day, one person showed up at the temple.
Yeah.
Right? I said, yeah, you should do this. He said, yeah, I know this. Then I said, how come I don't see you? Yeah, I was even initiated by Rompad Maharaj, but I don't come to temple that much.
Also,
yeah.
yes,
After
after initiation also, when they fall behind, which is not right, correct?
That is not at all right. So we have to be careful before initiation and more careful after initiation. That's why I'm saying you have to find excuse to connect to Krishna. Somehow or the other. Yena kena prakarena, Shastra says. Yena kena prakarena. Prakar means type. Yena kena. Whatever types, whatever excuse you have, somehow or the other, you have to connect to Krishna. So people take, well, then what's the meaning of initiation? Yeah, I was initiated, but I don't come to the temple that much because I rarely see him. So he was telling me, yeah, I was initiated by Rompad Maharaj a long time ago. Wow. Then why don't you even see you doing any seva? Zero seva. Right? So one has to be careful. I mean, it's not like going to temple is only seva, but it has to be something that it is visible and tangible. Right? You have to do something for Krishna. The easiest thing to do for Krishna is you come every Saturday with me to University Way. About for an hour and a half, we sing Hare Krishna Kirtan on the streets. A lot of people are looking at you and you'll feel very shy, but you still have to sing. Right? So that's where when you preach, one of the other things that happens is your ego starts melting down. You all have ego, very strong ego. So when you go on the road and people are making funny faces at you and people are saying, Chal hat, like that, when you're trying to sing, then your ego melts down. So come with me on every Saturday. I go to University Way, including tomorrow. We assemble in temple parking lot 1:30, 1:45 and go leave at around 2 o'clock. We reach there 2:40. We do it for 1.5 hours and then we come back. So total end to end is only like 4 hours. That's it. But then you will know that your ego is coming down when you do that. So when you preach, you become Krishna conscious. Okay, now whoever was reading, Anisha, I believe, or who was reading?
It was me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Similarly, we can offer many services with our bodily activities, but all such activities must be in relationship with Krishna. This relationship is established by connecting oneself with the bona fide spiritual master, who is the direct representative of Krishna in disciplic succession. Therefore, the execution of Krishna consciousness activities with the body should be directed by the spiritual master, then performed with faith. The connection with the spiritual master is called initiation. From the date of initiation by the spiritual master, the connection between Krishna and a person cultivating Krishna consciousness is established. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed.
Okay, pause there. Pause there.
Yes.
Very good point. Without initiation, the connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. So, can anybody guess how old I am?
42.
53.
Any more? I am little less than 13 years old.
Got initiated 13 years ago.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So some of you are not even born. So date of initiation is your spiritual birth. Right? About 13 years ago, 2007, I think I was initiated. Yeah, around June-ish. So if you don't take Diksha, you are not born. Initiation is the first birth, and double initiation, second initiation is called Dvija, twice born. Means you are born twice. Dvija. So, and then you take sannyas like that. So, unless you have this connection with Krishna or connection with the spiritual master, there is no connection with Krishna. So, you're not born. Many of you are not born. Sheshdev and his wife are born. Everybody else on the call except me and Sheshdev and his wife, we are all yet to be born. We are in the womb. So you have to quickly take birth. Come out and perform Krishna consciousness.
Womb of Maya.
Womb of Maya.
Yeah, of course, Maya is always there. That in addition to being Maya, you are sitting in the womb of Maya. Right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he sings, Jeev Jago, Gora Chand Bole, Kota Nidra Jao Maya, Pisachi Rakole. So you are sleeping on the lap of Maya. You are yet to be born, actually. So it's a very big statement, but that is what scriptures say. So you have to be born first in order to practice Krishna consciousness. So you have to quickly take initiation and then move forward. Otherwise, what will happen? You'll stay where you are for a very long time. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan. So at the time of Diksha, the bhakta will do atma samarpan. He will surrender to the spiritual master. And what does spiritual master do? He'll give him Gyan. Divya Gyan Hridaya Prakasito. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan, se kale Krishna tare kare atma sama. At the time of Diksha, when a disciple fully surrenders to Sri Guru, Sri Krishna accepts the disciple and makes him as spiritual as himself. Get the point? So Krishna will treat you at par with himself once you take Diksha. But then you should not do any nonsense after Diksha. Then he will kick you out if you do further nonsense. Right? Mahaprabhu further says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Se deha kare tara chid anandamaya, aprakrita dehe tanra charana bhajaya. So Krishna makes the sadhaka. Sadhaka means somebody who is doing sadhana. So we are all sadhakas. So when we take Diksha, Krishna makes the sadhaka's body full of transcendental bliss. Chidanandamaya. Maya is different, Maya is different. Maya means embodiment. Maya means illusion. Then in one spiritual body, Siddha Deha, Aprakta Deha, one worships the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. So that's why Chaitanya Charitamrita is the PhD study of devotion. We are still doing elementary study in Bhagavad Gita. So in this Siddha Deha, one worships the feet of Lord Krishna. And then Jiva Goswami says, Divyam Jnanam Srimate Mantre Bhagavat Swarupa Jnanam Tene Bhagavata Sambandha Vishesha Jnanam. At Diksha, the Guru gives the knowledge of Bhagavan Sri Krishna's form within a potent mantra. And special knowledge of disciples' specific relationship with Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the beautiful mantra Devata. So this is an advanced book called Bhakti Sandarbha. So there is so much more knowledge, right? We will not get into all that, but first of all, you should take Diksha. Without Diksha, you cannot really do many things. There's so much information, but you don't need to get into all that. That is the Srila Prabhupada has summarized all that into this sentence. Without initiation by a bona fide spiritual master, the actual connection with Krishna consciousness is never performed. He's giving categorical statement, never performed. So other than Sheshdev and his wife, everybody else on this call is not initiated, which means you have not taken Diksha. So you have to think about those things pretty soon in order for you to establish connection with Krishna. Okay, Anisha, continue.
This cultivation of Krishna consciousness is not material. The Lord has three general energies, namely the external energy, the internal energy, and the marginal energy. The living entities are called marginal energy, and the material cosmic manifestation is the action of external or material energy. Then there is the spiritual world, which is a manifestation of the internal energy. The living entities, who are called marginal energy, perform material activities when acting under the inferior external energy. And when they engage in activities under the internal spiritual energy, their activities are called Krishna conscious. This means that those who are great souls or great devotees do not act under the spell of the material energy, but act instead under the protection of the spiritual energy. Any activities done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness are directly under control of the spiritual energy. In other words, energy is a sort of strength, and this strength can be spiritualized by the mercy of both the bona fide spiritual master and Krishna.
So as you can see, this book, Bhakti, Art of Eternal Love, is packed with advice, right? Like normally, if you eat 20 carrots, you may get some energy, but they will extract that carrot juice and put it in a bottle. So it is packed with energy. Similarly, this energy is spiritualized by the mercy of both bona fide spiritual master and Krishna. Guru Prasade Pai Krishna Bhakti Latha Bij. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Latha Bij. So both by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, you get this Bhakti Latha. Latha means a creeper. So why do they say it is a creeper, and why don't they say it is a tree? Bhakti Jada or Bhakti Ped. Why don't they say like that? Because creepers can easily be destroyed, right? You just twist it one way and then the whole tree dies, the plant dies. And creeper is very flexible. So it can go this way or that way. Somehow or the other, it will occupy that space, right? So similarly, Bhakti, somehow or the other, will gradually spread. And along with Bhakti Lata, you have other anarthas, unwanted things growing alongside. So as bhakti is growing, the weeds are also growing. Have you seen this in your lawn? You are trying to grow grass, but weeds are also growing. So in order for the grass to be strong, you have to remove the weeds. So same thing, we have to remove these anarthas from our heart. These anarthas are very strong, right? Anarthas are, for example, over attachment to family. Like, oh, my uncle is coming today, I won't go to Bhagavad Gita class. I'll sit with my uncle and watch TV. We will watch some old Hindi movies. So that is an anartha. Other anarthas are lust, greed, anger, pride. We have all of these things in us. Let's not be in any confusion. We have all these things in us. Pride is there. Greed is there. So these anarthas are like weeds trying to overpower the main plant. See, if you go to Harulas Maharaj's farm, you'll see sometimes weeds are growing taller than the plants themselves. Because that's the nature of a weed. The weed's function is to cover up the main crop. So now that's why they are doing some rotational cropping so that the weeds also get confused. So you put one crop for 3 months, second crop for 3 months, different plants, so that the weeds as well as the insects get confused. So Mataji, I sent you soil science. Are you reading that from Cornell University?
Not yet, Prabhu.
Yeah, that's a lot of material, I know. It's like almost like 25 PDF files. I read one, I think that's about it, maybe half of one. But very good information. They talk about carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, phosphorus cycle, potassium cycle. So the three primary elements in the ground are NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. So this balance of these three is what causes plants to grow. And you can get a lot of the nitrogen through legumes like peanut, groundnut, there white clover, so many other legumes. So that material is very good actually. It's from a Ivy League school, right? Cornell University. So yeah, weeds will grow sometimes faster than the Bhakti Lata. So you have to be very careful. Otherwise, pride will grow. And then you will go to temple and start bossing other people. Hey Prabhu, cut the vegetables. Hey Prabhu, do this. Hey Prabhu, do that. So instead of being Das, right? My name is Radhika Gopinath Das. Das means servant. Instead of being Radhika Gopinath Das, we'll start thinking I am the boss. Right? Pride will set in. Greed will set in. Like many devotees in our congregation have 2, 3, 3, 4, 4 homes. Right? Is as if like more is better. More is better in some cases, like chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, but having more houses is not necessarily conducive to spirituality. So there are so many weeds that grow around us. But Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Beach, this Bhakti Lata or Bhakti Creeper is coming by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. I mean, I'm loving this book so much. Like we went to Bhagavad Gita for many years, but this is like the compact knowledge. This book, Bhakti Art of Eternal Love. Very, very compact. Anisha, continue.
In the Chaitanya Charitamrita by Krishnadasa Kaviraj Goswami, Lord Chaitanya states that it is a fortunate person who comes in contact with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. To one who is serious about spiritual life, Krishna gives the intelligence to come in contact with a bona fide spiritual master. And then, by the grace of the spiritual master, one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness. In this way, the whole jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the spiritual energy, Krishna and the spiritual master.
Amazing, amazing. Right? So by grace of spiritual master, the Guru, you come in contact with Krishna. By grace of Krishna, you are given a spiritual master. See that? So first you have to get a little bit Krishna's grace, he will give you a spiritual master. And by grace of the spiritual master, you will get Krishna. So you see the chain, the connection between the two. Krishna and spiritual master are both important for you to progress in spiritual life. Of course, luckily we have Srila Prabhupada, whose books we are reading, who is like the Adi Guru for everyone. Not Adi Guru, but he is the Jagat Guru. Adi Guru is Krishna himself. But then we need since Prabhupada is no longer on the planet, we need his representative, one of his disciples, to guide and coach us. So that's why I took initiation, Sheshdev took initiation. Matter of fact, we both took initiation under the same spiritual master, His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Swami, who is based in India. But he used to come a lot in the old days here to Seattle area, all over America, basically. So when you do that, what happens? Now the spiritual master is monitoring you. If you make any mistake, he's going to take a danda and beat you up. Danda means stick. Right? And we need that. Otherwise, we'll think, oh, I am the Jagat Guru. I know everything now. Right? So then the spiritual master will keep you in line. No, 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 no. You don't know everything. You made this mistake, this mistake. You correct this, you correct this, you correct this. So that's why spiritual master rarely praises anybody. He's always disciplining his disciples. The word disciple means you have to be disciplined. You have to be corrected. So if your spiritual master doesn't correct, either he doesn't have time to correct or he doesn't have the interest to correct, then the spiritual master is not doing his job. Spiritual master means he has to correct. Like my Guru chastises me. He corrects me a lot. One day I was serving him something and my serving spoon touched his plate. He said, now the serving spoon and your hand are both contaminated. Go wash your hand. Right? That's how he corrects. And if we try to do something silly, he will correct us. So we have to be corrected. Otherwise, what will happen? We'll think we know everything. So any thoughts, questions? The whole jurisdiction. What is jurisdiction means? Anybody know? Federal courts had no jurisdiction over the case. What does it mean? Authority, control, power, dominion, command, sway, leadership, right? So what is he saying? The whole jurisdiction of Krishna consciousness is directly under the spiritual energy. That is not material at all. Krishna consciousness cannot be material. If you do classic Hindu puja, that is material. But this is directly under the energy of Krishna because you are taking guidance from a spiritual master on a routine basis. Okay, with that we'll stop and we'll have the video that Disha and Girisha put together.